My ex-wife who left me and the kids years ago showed up with another man's child. A little background, my ex-wife Angela is 36, I'm 37. We met when we were in our early 20s, both working on a farm. After 2 years of dating, we got married. 3 years later, we had 2 daughters, now 9 and 7. The second pregnancy was unexpected, and Angela wasn't happy about it. But she didn't terminate it, even though I told her I'd support whatever she decided. I didn't want to force her through something she didn't want. After our first daughter was born, things were great. We loved each other as best we could. But after the second pregnancy, Angela became irritable, constantly picking on me or our older daughter. I thought it was hormones and tried to put up with her new behavior. We hoped it would pass, but it only got worse. My daughter and I learned to tiptoe around her. I took on all the chores, even though Angela was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. She quit her job after our first child and cared for the home and kids while I worked. That went on until the second pregnancy. When she got pregnant again, we had to hire a housekeeper because Angela complained she was too tired to manage the house and kids. I agreed, even though it strained our budget because I wasn't making enough. I didn't want to inconvenience Angela, especially during pregnancy. I thought after the second child was born she'd return to the household duties. It's worth noting I wasn't the kind of husband who did nothing. After work, I always tried to help, even when exhausted. After she had our youngest daughter, I expected her to recover in a few months and for life to go back to normal. But months passed with no change. Angela stayed irritable and refused to do any housework. She just sat at home all day watching TV. She rarely played with the kids and sometimes paid the neighbor to take them to the park. I don't want to sound bitter, but I had to pay for the housekeeper, groceries, other expenses, and try to save for our daughter's future. That became almost impossible because Angela didn't help me at all. 6 months after the baby was born, I decided enough was enough. I had to talk to her. I knew it would be tough, so I asked my parents to watch our daughters for a day, and they agreed. I sat Angela down and explained I understood she was tired after 2 pregnancies but needed her help. I said the housekeeper was too expensive and she had to keep her promise and start doing some chores so we could reduce the housekeeper's salary and save money. Angela immediately refused, saying she was too busy taking care of the kids to do housework. She said I needed to earn more, not make excuses or blame her for our money problems. I tried explaining I was doing all I could. But if we wanted the marriage to work, she had to try too. I also mentioned she wasn't really caring for the kids. As far as I knew, she just let them watch stupid reality shows. Our housekeeper once told me this in conversation. That was a big mistake. Angela got angry and accused me of spying on her through the housekeeper. She exploded, saying she wouldn't put up with me pressuring her to do all the work while I just sat at the desk for a few hours a day. She also said it was my fault we couldn't afford a housekeeper and it was shameful to ask her for help. I should be the man, the head of the family. It made no sense. She grabbed any excuse to prove her behavior was fine and that I was the crazy one for expecting her to contribute. We fought. She called me a loser who couldn't afford a woman like her. I called her a lazy cow who failed as a mother. Our eldest daughter was afraid of her and now was failing as a wife. That hit a nerve. She shoved me hard. I lost balance, fell on the coffee table, breaking the glass and injuring myself. I had to rush to the hospital. She cried and apologized during this time. Thankfully, it was just a superficial back injury, but I could have been seriously hurt. I stopped trusting her. I told her she had to move out because I no longer trusted her with the kids. Who knows when she'd lose control and hurt them. I asked my parents to watch the girls until she moved out within a week. She protested, promising it wouldn't happen again. But I just couldn't trust her. I almost filed for divorce, but she begged for another chance. By the end of the week, we agreed she'd move to her parents and do therapy. Only when a specialist said she was okay would I let her come home. Obviously, something was wrong. Happy people don't act like that. But she was willing to work on herself and recover. I didn't want my daughters to grow up without a mother, so I agreed not to divorce immediately and give the marriage a second chance, living separately. We also went to family therapy, but it was useless. Because she cheated on me. Here's how it happened. My parents moved in with me to help with the kids. While Angela stayed with her parents, we went to family therapy daily. For a while, it seemed things were improving. I also kept in touch with her therapist, who said she had postpartum depression but was getting better. One symptom was aggression, which hadn't been there before. Everything went out of control when she pushed me. That was a sign for both of us. Almost a year passed. After 6 months, I even let her visit the kids under my supervision. She was slowly returning to herself. I was glad. It finally seemed like our relationship had a chance. But suddenly she stopped attending sessions. Without explanation, she stopped replying to my messages. I knew she was improving because her therapist kept me updated. It seemed like nonsense. For weeks I tried talking to her, but she just brushed me off at her parents. I hadn't done this before because her parents didn't like me and blamed me for driving their daughter crazy. Angela asked me not to come while she lived with them, it would cause unnecessary drama. But I broke the rule and went. She was distant, skipping therapy. Even when she came, she seemed uninterested. I couldn't understand why. When I tried talking personally, on the phone, or by message, she said everything was fine. But her behavior clearly showed she was hiding something. The day I showed up at her parents' house, I expected to find her there. She wasn't. When I asked her parents, they said they couldn't tell me and slammed the door in my face. I felt they did it with pleasure and a bad feeling came over me. I called Angela outside their house. Tried calling several times, but she didn't answer. I got paranoid. Finally, I sneaked around the house. I knew her parents usually left the kitchen door open. I didn't even have to sneak in. I saw Angela sitting on the swings in the backyard. Bad news, she wasn't alone. She was kissing a man I didn't know. It's been a long time since I saw them. That moment is burned in my memory. It was one of the worst moments in my life and I can't forget it. The guy with Angela jumped back as soon as he saw me. By the time she turned around, I was already walking to my car. She caught up and tried to stop me, but I ignored her. I was in shock. She tried to grab me, but I pushed her away and told her not to touch me. She didn't. I drove home, blocked her everywhere so she couldn't explain. I told my parents I wanted a lawyer and told them what happened when I visited Angela's parents. I didn't see or hear from her until we had to meet a mediator for divorce talks. By then, I was like a robot, just doing my duty for the kids. Emotionally, I was completely empty. She decided she didn't want to be with us anymore, but with that guy, let's call him Sean. He was her childhood friend. Though they drifted apart after school, they apparently reconnected when she moved back with her parents. And she fell in love with him. Her parents supported it. They were fine with their daughter kissing Sean in the backyard. Even though she was married and had 2 kids. They were happy she finally chose herself and her happiness like she ever thought of anyone else. The divorce process was long because even though she cheated, she still wanted alimony. Seems absurd, but true. It took time. My lawyer and I fought hard and made sure she got nothing because legally everything belonged to me. I paid for everything while she just sat at home watching TV. It's been 5 years since the divorce was finalized and we made sure she left with nothing. The months spent dealing with the divorce were some of the hardest in my life. But I knew I couldn't break because I had to take care of my daughters. They only had me. My parents helped a lot. I can never thank them enough for being there while I worked and cared for the kids. 5 years later, though the divorce felt like the worst thing that happened, I'm grateful. I don't think I'd be where I am now if I hadn't left Angela. Life has been much better in every way. We moved to a bigger house because I earn more. I only spend money on myself and my daughters. My parents live nearby and visit sometimes. I have friends who love me. My daughters are happy. That's all a man needs. I'm thankful the way things are now. Or rather, they were fine until a few days ago. Angela showed up again. The kids were at school and I was about to leave for work when someone knocked. Angela stood on the doorstep with a boy around 3 or 4. I immediately knew he was Angela's son. I was stunned. She wanted to reconnect and give our marriage another chance. I couldn't believe she came back after all these years and suddenly decided to try again, as if she could decide that alone. In a moment, I slammed the door in her face. I didn't want to get involved. Before closing the door, I told her we're no longer her family. I stopped being her husband the day she cheated on me with Sean. The divorce was just legal paperwork. She gave up custody. So she has no right to call us family. After that, I told her to leave and said I didn't want her near my home. I almost cursed because of the little boy. I heard her crying behind the door for a few minutes but ignored it. I made sure everything was calm and left for work. I tried hard not to think about it because it would only weaken my resolve and I couldn't allow that. I almost forgot she even came. But when I got home, my parents called demanding answers why I kicked her out. They said Angela contacted them after I slammed the door and was completely broken. My parents told me they gave her my new address and told her to come because she's divorcing Sean and ready to fix things. They said Angela reached out about a month ago and it had been planned for a while. My parents thought it was time to think about the kids. They said my daughters need their mother and there's no better mom than Angela. So they decided she deserved another chance. They told her where to find me and what to say. I was furious. It's none of their business to forgive her or decide to give her a second chance without asking me. It could have ended badly if the kids were home. It was reckless. I told them all this. But they didn't admit their mistake because they helped during the divorce and caring for the kids. They said though the decision to reconcile is mine, they have an equal right to decide what's best for the kids and I can't take that away. I thought that was absurd. These are my kids, not theirs. Despite my respect and gratitude for what they did during the divorce, I don't think they can make such decisions. We argued. They said I was selfish and wrong not to give Angela another chance. They said they checked her and were sure she's a different person now. They insisted she deserves to be part of our daughter's lives. Even when I reminded them she signed away her parental rights, they said it was insulting to think they'd endanger me or the kids. They accused me of ruining the kids' lives by being too proud to admit the kids need their mother. A few days passed. I thought about it and still don't think I was wrong or selfish. I'm for not giving my ex-wife a second chance to be a mother. Before we get to the update, write your opinion in the comments. Do you think the author is a jerk? Why or why not? Update 1. About a week has passed since Angela showed up at my door with her son. Recently, I learned the truth about her relationship with my parents. It's so disgusting, I don't even know where to start. I still can't wrap my head around how they all betrayed me without hesitation. Turns out they not only gave her my new address but kept in touch with her all this time. After the divorce, I cut all contact. But they didn't because they believed she'd come to her senses eventually. They talked rarely, maybe once a month, but enough to make me feel betrayed. Sean made Angela sign away parental rights when she was given divorce papers and told to choose. Either leave the family and start a new life with him, or keep contact with the kids and fight for custody. But then she'd have to leave him. My parents said it was a hard choice for her. In the end, she chose Sean and decided to create a new family with him instead of the one she already had. My parents said Angela contacted them soon after I filed for divorce to tell them her situation and ask for help because she wanted to secretly see the kids. She told them she felt cornered by me and Sean. Anyway, she couldn't see the kids because I fought for full custody with controlled visits, and Sean insisted she give up all rights. Even if she fought for custody, chances were slim given the divorce circumstances and her anger control issues. So the custody battle seemed pointless. That's when my parents stepped in. She met with them alone and begged to let her see the kids, asking for their help as mediators. She knew after signing away rights she couldn't see the kids even supervised. But my parents still had the rights and planned to use them. They succeeded. They deceived me for a long time, secretly allowing Angela to see our daughters. They did it because Angela's story touched them, and they thought they could separate her from the kids. Yet they felt no guilt betraying their own son. They told me that every time I left the kids at their house, they invited Angela and let her spend time with them. My kids never told me they saw their mom because my parents bribed them with toys and sweets to keep quiet. Whenever I asked what they did at grandma's and grandpa's, my daughters said they played with their friends. I always thought they meant real friends of my parents I already knew. But it turned out my parents asked the girls to call Angela their mom in case I asked how their day went. I couldn't believe my daughters lied to me too. But I forgave them because they're just kids. Because Angela and my parents really manipulated and scared them into silence. When I learned the truth from my parents, I asked my daughters if they secretly met their mother. They cried and said they couldn't tell me because God would punish them. Angela and my parents must have seriously convinced them horrible things would happen if they told the truth. That's why they were so secretive and evasive. I felt like a terrible father for never checking exactly which friends my daughters spent time with. It could have been someone way worse than Angela, and I'd never know. But now I'm determined to end this. I've filed restraining orders against all of them. I have written proof because my parents sent me a letter explaining a few days after our argument. They thought the letter would help me understand how desperately Angela tried to stay a mother to her daughters without losing her true love. And that it might help me forgive everyone involved. But all it did was make me realize they're all disgusting liars. Now I can't trust anyone. Ironically, Angela gave up parental rights and had to meet the kids secretly like criminals. All because Sean didn't want her to have any contact with her past family. He was supposed to be her one true love. But now they're divorcing, and it's all falling apart. They even have a son. But according to my parents, Sean no longer wants anything to do with her or the boy because he got a job offer and is leaving. Angela recently started working, and their son went to daycare here. She doesn't want to move with him, causing long fights. It all came to a head 3 months ago when Sean said he was done. He was taking the job and leaving. He didn't want to be a family man anymore because that meant sacrificing his future and happiness for her, which he wasn't ready for. This story is clearly meant to make me pity Angela. But the only effect was justice served. I've talked to my lawyer, and the restraining orders are filed. My daughters and I had a serious talk. I told them they will never see grandma, grandpa, or their mom again. They seem to accept it for now. We're still in therapy, trying to process it because I'm sure it'll be hard. It's probably been hard for them too. But now it's over. Update 2. Hey guys. Thanks so much for your support and concern. My parents and Angela have received the restraining order notices and must appear in court in a few days. I don't know how they feel because I blocked them on all platforms and told my friends not to talk to them if they try. I've also beefed up security at home and have been working remotely for days. I spoke with my daughter's school administration and explained the situation. At first, I didn't want to send them to school for a few days but didn't want their education to suffer because of Angela and my parents. Now the teachers monitor them and won't let anyone but me pick them up. After school, I do everything I can to keep unwanted people away. So far, everything's going well. I hope after the restraining orders, they stay away. Update 3. Hey! This will be a short update. We got the restraining orders. For the next 5 years, these 3 maniacs must stay away from me and my daughters or face serious consequences. Of course, I continue all security measures. The last time I saw them, they looked very angry. I don't want to take risks. My daughters and I regularly attend family therapy, and I think we'll make big progress in the next few months. Honestly, we already have. All I want now is for my daughters to be happy. And that's enough. Please keep sending your best wishes, we really need them. What do you think about this story? Here's my opinion, the biggest question worth discussing. Did the author really do the right thing by refusing to forgive his wife? On one hand, he did right and probably couldn't fix her. People don't change, maybe worse. Now he has to reunite not only with a wife who betrayed him but with parents who also betrayed him and raise someone else's child. On the other hand, and it's hard to even say, maybe he should have tried to reconcile for the kids. At least some kind of agreement. Because he's basically alone either way. Why not? If not reconcile, then at least don't cut out the parents. Why the restraining orders at all? In the US, it's like a must-have. Maybe they should stay in contact. After all, parents aren't strangers and a mother is still a mother. At least a little. These people aren't bad addicts or anything, no drugs or anything. Why not communicate? So, on one side, the wife and parents acted selfishly, hiding behind love for the kids. On the other, the author did the exact same, hiding behind love for the kids by cutting out parents and ex. He says it's for the kids. What does that have to do with kids? He just doesn't want to talk to parents or ex. Maybe the kids want to talk. They'll probably grow up talking to both mom and grandparents. That's my opinion on this complicated situation. Thanks for watching till the end. Watch our previous video here. Subscribe for more stories like this. Good luck!